Good day, everyone. My name is Rachel Jonasaga, and I am here to discuss the continuation of the overcoming confirmation bias and the persistence of conspirational thinking. So, it was discussed by Ms. Hannah Tamayo, the introduction of the research and method used by Andrew White. It is also discussed the background of confirmation bias and conspirational types of thinkings. So, I'm here to discuss the part of the sharing online content. So, platforms like Facebook and Twitter are key for spreading information, but this research highlights the negative consequences of this sharing. Users often share content without thoroughly checking its credibility, leading to the spread of misinformation. How information is shared in social media can lead to significant issues, including spreading misinformation and increasing polarization. Users often prioritize sharing content that aligns with their beliefs over verifying its accuracy. So, Andrew White highlighted key issues about sharing online content. The first one is the bots and misinformation. Automated programs or bots can quickly spread misleading information, often for harmful purposes. For example, during the 2016 US presidential election, reports suggested that Russian bots were used to amplify divisive content, raising concerns about foreign interference. Next is sensationalism. Social media algorithms tend to promote sensational content because it attracts more clicks and advertising revenue. This encourages users to share eye-catching but often misleading stories. The next one is the nudging strategies. To combat misinformation, some initiatives aim to nudge users towards better sharing practices. For instance, the Norwegian broadcaster NRK requires users to pass a short quiz about an article before commenting, encouraging them to engage more critically with content. The last one is the backfiring effect. When users are confronted with evidence that contradicts what they have shared, they often react defensively rather than accepting the correction. This phenomenon, called the backfiring effect, illustrates how deeply held beliefs can cloud judgment. So, in Andrew White's research, he also highlighted the three key elements of the interaction between humans and digital platforms. So let's start with the first one, which is the confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is the tendency to search for, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms our pre existing beliefs. These bias can lead individuals to selectively engage with information that only aligns with their views while dismissing contradictory evidence. Psychologists like Daniel Kahneman have described our thinking processes as two systems. The system one, which is be fast and intuitive, and system two, which is slower and more deliberate. Most of the time, we rely on system one, allowing our instincts and pre existing beliefs to guide our decision. This can lead us to reinforce our views without actually critically examining them. Example, here in the Philippines, we saw this during the 2022 presidential elections. Supporters of certain candidates often shared memes and articles that painted their opponents in a negative light. While while they are dismissing credible news sources that presented factual criticisms. This not only polarized the electorate but also made it difficult for voters to engage in a constructive dialogue. This creates an echo chambers where misinformation can thrive as users reinforce each other's beliefs without actually questioning the validity of the information. The next one is the identity. Confirmation bias is actually um, deeply intertwined with our sense of identity. This connection can significantly impact how we engage with information, particularly in our current media landscape. Confirmation bias is not just a passive reaction, it is a powerful force that shapes our beliefs and identities. So, as sociologist Pierre Bourdieu suggested, He said that our thoughts are linked to our habits and practices, which what he called the habitus. This means that changing our beliefs, especially about political or cultural issues, often requires altering the social practices associated with those beliefs. So the next one is the epistemology. Epistemology, which refers to the study of knowledge, basically how we know what we know. So, traditionally, concepts like accuracy and truthfulness were viewed as clear and objective, especially in journalism and democratic discourse. However, this perspective is increasingly contested. Philosopher John Lyotta, in a seminal work, The Postmodern Condition, argued that the rise of electronic media challenges linear and logical forms of knowledge. He posited that information is not just a tool for truth seeking, but also a resource that can be interpreted in various ways, reflecting diverse perspectives. For example, consider how social media platforms today it allows users to curate their news feeds according to their beliefs. This results in a fragmented understanding of truth, where what is true can vary widely based on individual perspectives. Instead of seeking a shared reality, many people engage in what Lyotard termed language games, where the emphasis is on personal relevance rather than factual accuracy. This shift in epistemology, where personal beliefs system overshadow the scientific consensus, illustrates how knowledge is constructed in the digital landscape. So the next one is the beyond media literacy. So the discussion about combating conspiracy theories highlights that media literacy alone is not enough to address deeply rooted misinformation online. Scholars in media and communication need to explore additional research areas instead of just debating old theories about how media works. Here, Andrew White suggested research areas to improve our understanding of media and misinformation today. So we have four. The first one is the historical analysis of citizens' relationship with political institutions. So the research shows that people often align with specific political parties and develop strong opinions on issues like immigration. For instance, many conservatives in the US distrust mainstream media, viewing it as a part of a liberal elite. This skepticism drives them to seek news from social media, where misinformation can spread easily. So, the future researchers could explore whether similar attitude exists in other countries as well. The next one is, to what extent do political systems exacerbate partisanship? So, partisanship refers to an individual's strong allegiance to a particular political party or group, often leading to biased support for that party. For instance, in the US, the Senate structure helps maintain a Republican majority on the Supreme Court, as seen when Senate leaders blocked a vote on Judge Merrick Garland in 2016 without facing political consequences. So while the US political system isn't the only factor driving partisanship, its design contributes significantly to the divide we see today. The third one is the value of the interdisciplinary perspectives. It is vital to adopt interdisciplinary approaches for us to understand how digital media affects politics. Social media captures attention with sensational content, increasing political division. Researchers should combine media theories with insights from psychology and political institutions to understand these effects. Lastly, is the return of narrative. So, countering false narrative requires recognizing why they exist. Directly attacking these narratives can backfire, so it is more effective to acknowledge valid concerns about changing falsehood. By fostering open dialogue and understanding, we can better engage with those influenced by misinformation. So the last one is the conclusion. For the conclusion, we live in an era where social media platforms are the primary sources of information nowadays. Understanding and addressing confirmation bias and conspirational thinking is crucial for safeguarding democratic discourse and the social cohesion. So, this study highlights the pervasive impact of misinformation and also the psychological mechanism that drive individuals to share content that reinforces their beliefs, often at the expense of truth and accuracy. As Andrew White points out, I highlighted a phrase from his research which says, in relation to online information, early media literacy strategies focus on the need to use authoritative sources of information while also exploiting the abundance of digital resources to make sure that those sources and their associated content were as varied as possible. So I think this perspective reinforces the need for individuals to engage critically with the information landscape. The relevance of this research extends beyond academics. It serves as a call to action for enhancing media literacy and developing strategies that encourage critical engagement with information. By fostering an environment where individuals are equipped to discern credible sources and engage in constructive dialogue, we can mitigate the divisive effects of misinformation and promote a more informed, resilient society. So that's all for my report. Thank you.